some of our reasoning. And we cannot allow it to cloud our reasoning on public health, because there have been a lot of things said lately about maybe we're not collecting enough from the people who use the county hospitals. Well, they call it indigent health care for a reason. I mean, it is health care provided to indigents. And what we have to make sure is that we're providing the best health care we possibly can, because at the end of the day, it's not about who's getting service and who's not getting service. It's about what are we doing to protect the public health of our community. Because the worst thing we could have happen is have a pandemic break out because we have some unserved or underserved part of our community. So one of the things I want to do, and I think the county will move this direction, we're fortunate to live in a community that has the greatest medical center in perhaps the entire world. We have hospitals throughout our county and throughout our region. We need to find a way to engage those professionals more in the provision of indigent care. They're doing a lot right now, but Harris County Hospital District, and I think I can speak for them even in this, I've had enough conversations with them, really needs to get into the business of preventive care, neighborhood clinics, get out into the community, because hospital beds can be provided in many, many ways. And if we can use our resources, and we should not have a situation where a woman shows up at Bentab with stage 4 breast cancer. That just shouldn't happen. And it's easy to avoid. And one of the reasons our costs are so high is so many people are using the emergency room as their primary care facility. So we have to get away from that, and that's going to be a priority of ours. Criminal justice. I hesitate to talk about criminal justice in your presence, but at the county level, we will continue. I think there's a growing cooperation between the city and the county. We need to do that. We need to keep moving forward. And frankly, I think we need to start looking at consolidating a number of things that are done currently separately at the city and county level, whether it's medical examiners, or why should all these be separate? We are moving that direction. But there's one piece of criminal justice that I have to talk about, because as county judge, I chair the Juvenile Probation Board. And Texans are notorious for being strong against crime and putting criminals away. And I don't disagree with that. But a lot of times when you're dealing with 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, you're dealing with kids who have made a mistake, and they've done something really dumb. And unfortunately, some of the actions that we have taken in the past have tended to sort of convert those kids into permanent criminals. And instead, we need to start exploring more and more ways. Sure, you're going to have some that are really bad apples and nothing you can do. But the others, we need to identify and put them on a path of getting them back to responsible citizenship, and not forever, put a blight on them because they made a mistake when they were 12 or 13. And so juvenile justice, I think, is going to be a bigger and bigger issue. And the final two, one particularly relates to this group, and that is I want to raise the international profile of Harris County. I think it's important that we start organizing trade and tourism for the entire county. The city's clearly the dominant city within our county. But with that in mind, the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and the Greater Houston Partnership and Harris County are jointly putting together a mission to India the first week in April. And we hope to have many more, and I hope to participate in those types of things. And we will be doing a lot of that through private funding, simply because that's probably the best way to do it. And the final topic I want to talk before I go off on the tangent I warned you about, overriding all of this is going to be ethics, because people want to know that their government is honest and efficient. And Harris County government is honest and efficient. And it's unfortunate, once we get into campaign season, people start running ads and they start talking about cultures of corruption and all that. Are there always going to be some people who do the wrong thing? Sure. That's going to be true at the city level or the county level or the state level or the national level or in private industry. But we have to reassure the public that overall the government is acting in the best interest of the public, and they're doing it in an honest and efficient manner, and I believe the county is. So those are the 10 things. Now let me go off on the tangent, and I'll try to be relatively brief. I don't know what time I have to end. I started by saying we're the third largest county in the country. And as such, and this is kind of a random order, but I think it's a real shame that we have not taken the steps as a community and as a state to make sure that the University of Houston is in the absolute top tier of educational institutions. We're the fourth largest city. We're the third largest county. And I can tell you as a former member of the legislature that the University of Houston has consistently gotten short shrift, and that needs to change. And right now, and you talk about an international approach, if you have not met the new president, Renu Khator, you should. She is a fabulous woman, and I can't wait to help her go to Austin and see if we can't get the University of Houston more of what it really deserves. We also are beginning to cooperate on a number of things. Returning veterans were mentioned. Mayor White launched he likes to say we launched, but it was really Mayor White's initiative, and he said, why don't you come along and be co-chair of it, a returning veterans initiative to make sure that these returning veterans that come into our community are cared for, and their families have resources. Because a lot of times, the suicides that were mentioned are a real tragedy. And a lot of times, the family doesn't know where to go to seek help. And so I applaud the mayor for doing that. Now, the Gulen Institute's mission, I kept that here so I could read it, because you talk about a bold task. Promote peace and social justice, cultivate social harmony, strengthen civic dialogue, and deepen intercultural awareness and understanding among the diverse communities. Let me know when you finish that. That's quite an undertaking. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit, just for a few minutes, as a boy from East Texas oil field who grew up in a cocoon almost. No international exposure at all. You mentioned rabbit ears and television antennas. You know, I remember when you used to have to turn the antenna on top of your house to decide whether you were going to get a Shreveport station or a Tyler station. And those were the only options. We saw no international news. And as I was growing up, it's fascinating to think that I came from that to having an international transportation business where my partner had been Margaret Thatcher's transport minister, and he's the Earl of Caithness from Scotland and in the House of Lords in the UK, and we're doing work in Kuala Lumpur. I mean, that's a long way from New London, Texas. But it's a fascinating journey, and it's a journey that everybody is going to be on. When I was in college, there was he eventually became a city official, George Greenius. And we thought he was the strangest person in the world because he actually chose to take a semester, maybe a year, and go overseas to study. Nobody did that when I was in college. And now that's become the norm. A semester abroad is the norm, and it's a very good thing. Tom Friedman was mentioned. I was at a conference at the Greenbrier. His first book that I remember was The Lexus and the Olive Tree. And somebody mentioned it, and they said, and we have copies out in the